It's me right now. La da dee dum.
Got to Brighton? No problem. Oh, the memories. Ah, bangers. You've got it. You've got it when you get to Brighton.
It's a bit windy, but I've just spotted the Theatre Royal. Quite a smooth journey here to Brighton. Although I did have to change my ticket because something was shut in London. But anyway, now I've got to get around the side. But there is no round the side. Alright, we'll go around the back streets. There's no side street, just got to find the next street along, which is Bond Street. So get me that martini shaken and not stirred.
Bond. James Bond.
I think I found it.
Come bloody field.
Oh, well, this is entering a theatre, isn't it?
Right.
Skipped cupboard.
Upstairs, where this would be, there is a door. Hello, Dickie. How are you?
Yeah, this isn't the dressing rooms, is it?
No, this is the pit.
Is this where the lads are going to be?
Yeah, we've had to remove these.
Oh, bless you.
Might not be able to get out the door the other side yet.
There's some people. To see some people. This is it. Oh, nice. All three of us there. Out onto this lovely roof. Theatre Royal. Woolly mammoths used to roam these shores. Evidence has been found of the proto-human, same species as the Neanderthal that was found in North Rhine-Westphalia in Germany, Neanderthal 1. Evidence of them in Brighton. So, we can assume Neanderthals were hunting woolly mammoths on the beaches of Brighton. Remnants of all the past histories, Neolithic, Bronze Age, Iron Age, all the way up to the present day. The Romans built villas here just to remind them of being back at home because the light is somewhat different. But it was after the Roman Empire fell in the 5th century that Brighton's etymology really begins. Now, gonna need my book for this one. So it was an ancient fishing village back then, and it was known as Bjorfelmenton. Bjorfelmenton. Do you go west? Yes. No, I go south. I'm going to Bjorfelmenton. Ah, I know it well. The light is lovely. In 1086, it was known as Bristol-Mestune. In 1198, Brichtelmesten. In 1493, Breitelmesten. Bright, so we get the first bright. In 1610, Breifemston. And it wasn't until the early 19th century that Brighton itself, as we know it, came into common parlance. Brighton was burnt to the ground by the French in 1514. I would go into the history of why all that happened, but it is extremely convoluted. Charles II escaped his fate through Brighton after his dad was up in Whitehall, which we have discussed previously. He went then off and lived in exile for 11 years. It was after the Battle of Worcester where Oliver Cromwell managed to defeat him. He made his escape through Brighton, and that is remembered or commemorated to this day with the Royal Escape Boat Race, which is held down at Brighton Marina. It's quite easy to see when you come to Brighton that the wealthy do love to build things here, to reside here, to live here, to enjoy life here. And it was the Prince Regent in 1787 decided to build a palace by the sea. So we have the Royal Pavilion. I did perform there when I was 18. Came to do a little thing. It's the first time I saw proper tap dancers really tapping and go, wow, that's pretty dang impressive. The Brighton Pavilion was put to some use in the First World War as a hospital. In 1916, the sound of guns firing at the Battle of the Somme were heard on the beaches of Brighton. After the war, more fashionable wealth. But for all its wealth, Brighton does rank 3rd in the country's list of homelessness. Life hasn't always been smooth sailing in the land of Dickie, and Oft times in my past I find myself with no abode. That's been all over the world. But one of those times was in Brighton. Fortunately, it is in my family's DNA to be resilient. Recently found out that we were part of the Scott of the Antarctic expedition. So me having a guitar and a scouting background, I was able to sort myself out pretty well. A knock on the door of an Indian restaurant at the end of the night and play them a song, and then they'd give me food. So I was fed. I know how to make shelter. I feel it a pertinent time to talk about a few elements about my personal life wherein choices have been made to get on to the stage where I am now, but without the past it wouldn't be possible. And my album comes from a lot of experiences that I had that weren't necessarily the easiest to live through, and I suppose that the lyrics behind the songs are more of a diary entry. And Brighton was a tough time in my life. I've had some good memories there too. I've taught drama there. I've enjoyed myself on the beach. I've slept underneath the merry-go-round that's on the beach and always covered up. So I've got my good memories there too. But sometimes when you're in a struggle, a way for you to orchestrate that in your mind as to how to continue, for me at least, comes out in the form of a song here and there. I can't tell when it's going to strike, but Brighton was one of those, and when we go to Norwich next, then that will also be cause to describe another song that I wrote called Soulwell. Yeah, living rough is rough. It was a tough time, but the album wouldn't have begun if it were not for Brandon, who found out I was sort of sleeping on benches and the bushes and all that jazz, and brought me over one drunken day to a house in Hastings where I woke up on the sofa and the chap was sitting on a chair opposite, and he goes, "Who are you?" And I said, "Who are you?" He went, "Well, I own this building. Who are you?" Anyway, it turns out this chap, Mike, was a thoroughly nice fellow and gave me a tour of the house. That it was a converted pub that he was converting all by himself. And we got down to the basement and he said, "This is going to be a studio one day." And I said, "Is that far off?" He was like, "Oh yeah, I've got loads to do before that." I was like, "Oh, how much would you charge somebody to sleep in the basement?" And he was like, "You couldn't sleep in here." I said, "Well, at the moment I'm sleeping rough." And he went, "Oh, 20 quid a week?" So bang, I suddenly had a place to live. There was no windows. I'm sure I've still got some lung problems from living down there, but I eventually made my way up the house and had a real bedroom with a real window. And then the recording started in earnest. So yeah, without having gone through the rough, the smooth wouldn't have arrived. And now I'm sitting here with an album that I have created. Whether it goes anywhere or not doesn't really affect me. The fact that I've done it and achieved it is what I'm pleased with, and that now stands as a chapter of that time in my life where he just never knew what was around the next corner. Brighton Pier was established in 1899. It was the third pier to be built in Brighton, but is the only one that remains to this day. The West Pier is the famous one that burnt down in 2003, was built in the 1860s, closed in 1975, and then the inevitable end, probably by arson, which is the same thing that happened to the pier in Hastings. People love to make the money. The Irish Republican Army made themselves known in Brighton in 1984 when they blew up a hotel in an attempt to assassinate Margaret Thatcher. I know many people watching this will have opinions left all right on that, so The bomb itself exploded at 2:45 in the morning when most people were in bed. I would have still been at the bar, so probably quite safe. I could have stumbled out the front door and go, "What was that?" I don't know, I'd be yawning. I'd be pissed. the feeling of Brighton, and I know it of old, is that it's got this sense of individuality. It's got these shops that are created by people who have an idea and a sense of identity, and they want to sell their wares. That still exists here, and it is what is sadly missing in a lot of places up in the north, where you just have all of the main shops, the big conglomerate businesses coming in and going, "We stamp our opinion here. You will pay these prices, and you have no choice." Whereas the artisan shops down here really do give that sense of people going to work because they want to do what they are doing. And I think that brings a sense of heart and individuality, which causes a lot of the vibrance here in Brighton. But I think it's pertinent to say that when you have wealth and money and all of this stuff pumped into the economy, that you have a freedom to do what you wish, whereas in the north you really had to play by the rules, go to the factory, do the work, then the factories get closed. What are we supposed to do for money? How are we supposed to make food? Whereas in Brighton it's somebody else going, "Oh, I think I'll make another palace." The theatre was lovely. It really harks back to a different time. I think it's the oldest theatre that we've done on the tour, over 200 years old. And you can feel it in bits where it's been built up, and where this used to be a fishing hut, and you've got the stories of the lady that used to serve beer to the actors from her little hatch behind the stage, a bygone era, one I wish we could bring back in. Come on, Jamie Wilson Productions, perhaps we can get a little bar in the tour, huh? No? But it's been interesting performing to a southern crowd. Again, very different types of people. Here it almost felt at the beginning of the week like they were going, "Go on then, impress us." But by the end of the week, we had it great. They were clapping along on the 1 and the 3, and it was a great time, because music is something that Brighton is also very well known for. And we thank you very much from the heart of our bottom for joining in and giving us a great time.
And that is Brighton done. Didn't get to see much of it because we've been working all the time, but apparently it's been sunny. I did get myself an ice cream. But it's starting to get sweaty shows, you know? Sweaty shows because it's warm outside and this is a 200-year-old theater, so aircon ain't a thing that they got. Maybe they should watch the film Con Air.
Yes, probably not a good film to watch if you want to stay cool.
Now, next stop is Norwich. I did say at the end of Nottingham that the next stop was Norwich, but I got ahead of myself. The next stop was Brighton, which we've just done. So now the next stop is going to be Norwich.